Hey everybody, and welcome to another Flipping Pages. In this episode, we're gonna have a flip through of this magazine right here. This is Wargames Illustrated 457 January 2026. So this is basically the first magazine of the year. As it says on the cover, you're gonna get some free stuff. We're gonna have a look at what it is later inside. Now let's have a quick look inside. And it's the editor, thanking everybody. And if you're fancy being a contributor, they've also put a call out for contributions in terms of articles and stuff like that. The cover is done by Neil Roberts, and it's a really nice cover. And speaking of covers, if you want the cover without any of the distractions, WI Prime is the way to go. You get the cover without all of the the titles and all this other busy stuff. And consider subscribing to Wargames Illustrated again. Wargames Illustrated does not pay me to do this. I just think if there are enough subscriptions, the magazine carries on. I get to flip through Wargaming magazines. Okay, let's start off with observation posts, and this one feels like a partisan press observation post, right? Because it comes with the Partisan Press, the Wargamers Annual 2026, and Partisan Press Honors of the War Scenario Book 1. I used to get a lot of annuals, so I pretty much haven't gotten an annual in a while. So, it's kind of cool that there are annuals for the hobby. And I might have a look, see if I can get my hands on one. And if I do, I'll probably do a flip through of that. And then we got a scenario book, which is also quite handy. Moving along, we have Great Escape Games, US Cavalry on Foot. The Western scene here in Malaysia is growing actually. We have people inquiring about different games to play using Western miniatures that I stock, right? So it's good that now we have an option of getting the US Cavalry on Foot from Great Escape Games. And then we have Gamer's Grass. Gamer's Grass has quietly been building the catalog. And if you have a look over here, they now have basing boxes where they put in the little base stuff and the tufts and stuff like that, which is a really great idea for the hobby. And then we have Conflict 47's spread advert, which is a nice way to have a look at the whole range. And, if you want to decide which faction you want to go for. And then we got Release Radar. And it starts off with this encyclopedia of war games, which I wasn't so sure what it was, but if we look later in the magazine, they'll talk about it a little bit, which I thought was kind of cool. And then another Partisan Press's book, which is basically Swashbuckler. And then we have Goblin Games'. Let me see now. It's it is a game. What's the game called again? Heraldry? Is that what it's called? Okay. And then we got Tabletop Terrain. And have a look here. We got Oshiro models, and this is the resin fort. And then as you can see over here, like I said in the last flip through, it's nice that they've numbered this so we can know what they are. And these are things from the basement. Okay. Oh, I didn't know that company existed, but as you can see, this might be good for folks who are probably doing pillage. This is 28 mm though. I think so. I think it is. Okay, so moving along, we got some Mardev, and again, they've labeled, so you can actually have a look here and see what it is you're looking at, right? So in many ways, this becomes like a sort of like a buying catalog as well, or a viewing catalog. So in case you're interested in the range, it's all labeled out right here. And I think this is a good step forward for Wargames Illustrated to do this, because it makes folks easier to browse, and Wargames Illustrated helps the game company grow, right? And then we got miniatures from Ancillus Wargames, and then what's this? Coming soon. Figures from the new Hollow Crown and miniatures. Bit of a shadow here. To be used with Trench Crusade. Oh, okay. All right. Let me see what else is there over here. We got Dwarves from Warhost. Huh. All right. Moving along, we got offensive miniatures, the Russians this time, and then we got Victrix's Pillage and their medieval market. I haven't got this in the store just yet. And then we got Quick Fire, and this is kind of cool. This is CrackCon 6. It's basically an event held at, let me see, what they call again? Boards and Swords Hobbies in Derby. And the proceeds from this was given to a charity in memory of Paul Sawyer. I think that's a really, yeah, that's really nice. That's really, really nice. So also pictures of the event, CrackCon 6. Moving along, Heinz Miniatures paying the bills, and then we got North Star helping to pay the bills as well. And over here we see the Coldstream Guards, as one of the things featured, right? And then we got William of Orange right there. Okay, so as advertised in the last episode or last magazine, here's the best of 2025, and as you can have a look over here, they've broken it into different categories. I'm just gonna vote according to what they have recommended, because I don't want to make it too messy. So over here, and under best rules, they talk about Hey Ho, the Wargames Illustrated box set, and then Guards of Trader's Toll, Pacific Command, Conflict 47, Pillage. If I was gonna choose amongst all of this as the best rule set of 2025, I would go with Pillage. I think because of the whole burning, houses, and the fact that the warbands are a bit smaller, and the hobbying involved is a bit less, and of course, for me at least, it feels slightly simpler, slightly. Coming extremely close second would be Guards of Trader's Toll, and then we got best expansion and supplement. I don't know. I don't really have a favorite on this one. I mean, they talked about Wars of the Samurai here from Wargames, and they talk about Silver Bayonet, Bones of Albion, and Frostgrave Advanced Spellcraft. Honestly, none of these, did anything for me. So I won't vote there. And then we got best starter set. And like I said, we're just gonna use the ones that we see here. So you got Conflict 47's Empire of Japan starter, and the Guards of Trader's Toll, Baron's War Second Edition, Perry's Skirmish in a Box. Now, if you've been viewing this channel, the answer to this one is probably gonna be Baron's War Second Edition, and coming extremely close second would be Guards of Trader's Toll. Extremely close. In terms of best metal and resin miniatures, it's just too wide for me to choose, and I don't know that much for me to make a choice or on this particular category, so I'm gonna bypass this. But if you're interested, get the magazine and see how they voted. In terms of best plastic, I would tend to agree. Late War Germans, Victrix is pretty good. Yeah, and then we got best digital miniatures range. I have no opinion on this one. Then we have a look at a different let me see what let me see now. Oh, Martin Brook, yeah, the YouTuber, right? And we got his choices, and then Army Painter and stuff like that. Then we got best terrain pieces. Again, I'm not gonna vote on this. I think simply because I don't look at enough terrain to have a strong opinion to put a vote on any of these. And then we have got Wayland Games with an advert, followed by this article over here. And what this is the magazine Talk to Simon Chick, right? And this is basically Simon Chick's 100 Years War collection. For guys who are into like periods like this, articles like this are extremely useful. I mean, it gives you an idea on tables that you can build, what to populate a table with, and the nice miniatures will help inspire you to build tables like this for yourself. Very, very nice. Very nice pieces as well. And then we got let me see now. This is Battlefront with a Maginot Line. Wow, Maginot Line. German versus French. I think there's a starters and Dunkirk. Wow, very cool. Okay, what Mogsy made of 2025, and I'm not so sure what a Mogsy is, but I think James Morris is a Mogsy according to the article. And over here, he looks at the Wargames Atlantic's Grand Battle Scale to do his Midgard games, which I thought it's a nice article to read actually. And then we've got Geek Nations, who have started advertising in Wargames Illustrated about their tours, followed by a first call. The Eagle has landed, Operation Eagle. Yeah. And like I said, I talked about this in the last flip through. I mean, they're based off the characters in the movie. Okay, this is an article that was in the previous magazine, but in this one, Civil War News Hobby, what happened? What the article is basically looking at the Civil War news cards, which I didn't know existed until now, and attempting to recreate the images, right, in miniature form. So for hobbyists, this is great, man. It's great. Helps you along, conceptualizing and how they put together the bases, right? Which is a very good idea. Next up, we got Rubicon models. And this bit of Rubicon models I thought was kind of cool. And it's the M4 Sherman and the breakdown, right? I think there should be an article like this at some point. I know there have been some before, but ever so often for new players, knowing the variants and when to use the variants of the M4, is a question I get asked in the shop, right? So an article on that, if you're writing for it, it's a good article. Cultural experience is Salonika again. This is from the last issue, the same one. Now, over here it's got Assassins and Templars, Paperboys. This is the free thing that you get in this magazine, and what it is basically paper figures that you can actually print. Now, I want to give a shout out to our own Paperboy, Faris Bakri. You legit, man. You're legit. You're our local Paperboy, and he's helped me print out some figures. So it's nice that we have our own, right? So yeah, Faris Bakri, thanks. It's a friend of the channel, so I'm just gonna give him acknowledgement where it's due. There you go, Paperboys. Moving along, we've got Butcher and Bull, and then design notes inside the Encyclopedia of Wargames. This is the Partisan Press one, as we mentioned earlier in observation post. And this is kind of cool because it tells you everything you need to know about the Encyclopedia of Wargames, right? Which I want, and in theory I think it's a great idea. But I think what's inside the book is crucial. I'm very, very curious. Then we have Hide, Stone, and Bone. And let me just say this. I had a talk in the shop a couple of days back, and the minute somebody in the store found out that somebody else had gotten this rule set, there was a slight excitement to get into Hide, Stone, and Bone, all the way down to spending the rest of the hangout time in the shop scrolling STL files and looking at different miniatures for the game. So this is promising, if you ask me. Very, very promising. Then you got Deep Cut Studios game mats, and then we got 1151 Vikings versus Knights, and this is a Lion Rampant campaign. So if you're a fan of Lion Rampant, you can actually use this. I think it's meant for Vikings and Knights, it says, but I think you can adjust it, as well as to the forces that you want. Okay, then we have Ancients Are Dead, Long Live the Ancients. This is kind of cool. This is basically a POV kind of article, which I really, really like. It's a state of the hobby, and I like this article quite a bit, really quite a bit. And then we've got Simon Miller's Lust for Glory, and now, like I said, I'm not very in touch with what's happening, but Lust of Glory is a rule set that is coming out, right? And this is basically an interview with the designer, which I think is cool. Then the Quick and the Lead, and this is the new. It's just come out, if I'm not mistaken, and this is basically the it's using it, playing with it, which is cool. There you go. And then we got The Joys of Less. This is American Revolution. I like the American Revolution. And then we have Dead But Not Gone. This one was I went down memory lane with this one. I like, for example, Ogre. I remember playing a guy coming to the store back in the mid-90s with Ogre, and he was like getting us to play, and I think I managed 2 games because I was managing the shop at the time, and he really wanted to show me Ogre, right? So I sat down for an unofficial demo. But then he also, in the article, also talks about the War of the Rohirrim, whereby is the game really dead if somebody's playing it? I mean, it's a good question to ask. Actually, to be honest, if you're wondering, do a Google on YouTube, man. A lot of folks are playing dead games just because the game's no longer supported, right? Doesn't mean you can't play it. Anyways, moving on, we got Tito's Partisans in bolt action, and this is kind of cool. So what this is I want to call it a modding article. So it's basically modding an army to be part of his Yugoslav army. So I thought that's kind of cool. How to change a little bit of conversions right here. And if you're the kind of person who's into like customizing your army, right? This is definitely an article for you. And I even like the way he's presented it, very very nicely, right? And all the different components to get it going, right? And they got basing for the cold. And this is basically a guide to the doing snow bases and stuff like that. And it's done by the same guy who did the encyclopedia. Okay, and then as per usual, the folks that help pay the bills and for this magazine to keep going, which I just like to acknowledge, like Mardev, Hellion, we have Not Star Figures, Master Studio, Athena, Gunfight, and Knuckle Duster, Tabletop, Terrain, is that what they call it? Tumbling Dice, of course, Skytrax, Moonhopper. And then next issue of Wargames Illustrated, you get a free frame from Bolt Action. Patrick Miniatures gets a mention as well because we pay the bills. And then Wargames Illustrated releases As in Core, Again Core, depending how you want to look at it, or how you want to call it. And then Grim Beast, always last page. But this time you've got they feature Warlord and African Militia, and then you've got the Ranger Fire teams. All right, so that's pretty much it. That is the flip through of issue 457. Again, Wargames Illustrated doesn't sponsor us. This is out of my own pocket just to show you what's in the magazine. If you like magazines like this, consider subscribing, or if you're at a magazine store or even my store, consider getting one. It's one of those things that I think is essential to the hobby. All right, so that's pretty much it. If you like this flip through, like and subscribe, and as always, don't forget to enjoy painting those figures.